Hello, Calculus 1 students. This is Professor Ken, and I'm making this video for January 20th, Friday. So happy Friday to you all. So in this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about Desmos in order to do this weekend's assignment, which I think you're going to like. It involves some creativity and knowledge of functions, domain and range. And inequalities of functions. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Now, I do want to preface by saying if you have not set up your Desmos account yet, please stop this video and set up your Desmos account and then return to this video. Okay, here goes. So I'm going to share my screen. I don't know what that is. Okay, and I'm going to shut off my video so my face won't distract you. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is go to www.desmos.com and hit enter. Then we're going to make sure that you're logged in. Now, you can see that I'm logged in here. So if I click on log out, you might have to log in first. And there you have it. Now we're going to click on graphing calculator. And I'm going to show you some nuances of this. All right, so suppose we have f of x equals 1/3 x. Oh, by the way, I should teach you how to use the fraction. So it's 1/, which is on the same key as your question mark, makes a fraction x. 1/3. Now to get out of the denominator, you hit the cursor key to move over there, x, and then plus 2. All right, so we can see that we have graphed a line whose slope is 1/3 to get from one point to another point. We would go up 1 and over 3, rise over run. And we see that it crosses the y-intercept at y equals 2. Okay, now, if we wanted to zoom in on this, we hit the plus sign here. If we want to zoom out, we hit the negative sign. If we want to adjust our viewing screen, we hit the wrench. Now, what if we wanted to make our x axis to go from negative 100 to positive 100? And then our y-axis to go from negative 5 to 5. Well, you could see that when we do this, it doesn't even look like the slope is 1/3. It looks like it's much steeper than that. And to go back to the default screen, you just click the little house or the home. So if we click on there, it goes back to what we're used to. Okay, so I hope that now, if we want to change the color of our line, we hover over this little icon here and we press down on it for 3 seconds. And then if we want, we can make it a dashed line. We can make it a dotted line. This little thing shows the thickness. The default is 2.5. But what if we made it 9? We see that it's much thicker. What if we made it 1? We see that it's much tinier. And this line up here is the opacity. So 0.9 is almost 100%. What if we made it 0.3? You could barely see it. If we made it 2, that's 0.2. If we made it positive 2, it's really dark, etc. And then this allows us to change the colors. Let's make this a little bigger. All right. And then if you just click out of there, it saves it. All right. Now I'm going to show you what to do, what sliders are. So suppose we have y equals 2x minus 5. Okay, I'm sorry, that's a line. What if we have y equals mx plus b? Now we click on add sliders. And what this does is if we need a specific line on our graph, we can use the sliders to make sure that it gets to where it is. So suppose we want this to go through -4, we'll just go down here to -4. And if we wanted the slope to be 1/5, okay, there we have it. Or if we wanted the slope to be 8, there we have it. Or if we want to just play around with what happens when we change it, we see that when it's positive, it's sloping upward, and as it gets bigger, bigger, it's steeper. Negative, same thing. Okay, I don't think we have much use for this, but I just want to show you if you hit the play button, it just moves automatically. So let's stop that. All right. Now, suppose we only wanted the graph to be seen from this point to this point. All right. We would say that the smallest x, what we're doing is we're restricting the domain. So our smallest x value would be -4, and our biggest x value would be 0. So we go over here and we open the brace, which is next to the P key. Oops. Up here, open the brace, and we would say that -4 is less than x, which is less than 0. Ooh, and then we close the brace. And when we do that, we see that it only gives us the section of the line that we wanted. Okay. Stop right now, and I want you to try that. Okay, welcome back. Now, suppose we wanted to define it by y. Suppose we wanted only to see the section of the line from this point to this point. Well, we could do -10 is less than x, which is less than -4. But we could also say that 0 is less than y, which is less than 6. Because now we're defining it by the range. So we could say that 0 is less than y, which is less than 6. There we have it. Now, we could also use sliders. We could say that, now we've used M and B, so we could say that C is less than Y, which is less than D. Close the brace and hit add sliders to all. And we see that we don't see the line because C and D are equal, so C has got to be less than D. So if we do that, we can use the sliders, move the sliders around to change how we see our graph. All right, so what did I say before? 0, I wanted C to be 0 and D to be 6. There we have it. What happens if we want to shade? Okay, and then if we wanted to, we can click on this for 3 seconds and it gives us the menu, and we could change the color if we wanted, etc. Okay, what I'm going to do is click right here and go to new blank graph. Now, suppose we wanted to graph the inequality graph, which is y equals, here's the parent function, a. Now, absolute value looks like a pipe, and you hit shift in the key above enter. Absolute value of x minus h, close the absolute value, plus k. Okay, pause right now and type that in. Okay, if we add both of our sliders, so this is the absolute value function. It kind of looks like a seagull. So if we go up, it makes the graph skinnier or steeper. And if it's negative, it opens downward and it goes skinnier, etc. And we call this the seagull graph because if we play A, we can see it looks like a seagull flapping its wings. Okay, and if we want that seagull to fly around, we can play H and K. All right, enough of that nonsense. All right, I want to move this over. So H moves it left and right. A moves it up and down. So let's open it downward. All right. And you can actually drag inside of there. All right, now suppose I wanted to make the roof of a house. This looks like a nice roof of a house. Actually, let me move over my H just a little bit right to there. Okay, perfect. So what I would want is I would want a graph from negative. I would want the graph to start at x equals -6 and end at 0. So let me go up here to my brace. -6 is less than x, which is less than 0. All right. Now, if I wanted, let's close the brace. Now, suppose I wanted the y values to only be above 0. So we could also say that y is greater than 0. Now, you don't see much of a difference then, but if we want to start shading, now, if we want to shade below, we would change this equals to a less than, or less than or equal to, and watch what happens. So here's less than. If I add an equal to, it becomes less than or equal to. It's solid. And look at that. We have the roof of a house. How about that? Now, if I click on here for 3 seconds, suppose we wanted to change the color. I want an orange roof. And that looks too transparent. I want it darker. Call this 9. Okay. And let's call this 5. Okay, well, I guess 1 is the default, is as dark as you can get it. All right. So there we have it. I just showed you how to work with inequalities and how to work with a restricted domain and a restricted range, how to use sliders, and lastly, how to format with color and shading. All right, let me show you a couple more things. New blank graph. So if we wanted to make a circle, the equation for a circle is open parentheses, x minus h, close parentheses. Now to do squared, you do the caret top, which is shift 6, and then 2. Now that's squared. Now I need to get out of there. I'm sorry, that should be x minus h. To get out of there, you hit the cursor key, or you can move the mouse over there. And then plus y minus k. Whoops. What the heck? Hold on a second. It should be y minus k. Y minus k, close parentheses, shift 6 squared, move the cursor, equals r squared. All right, that's the equation for a circle. So if I hit all, we see we have a circle. Now, r stands for the radius, so I want a bigger radius. H is the x coordinate for the center of the circle. So that moves the circle left and right. K moves the circle up and down. So suppose I wanted to make the sun. Well, I would need a smaller radius, maybe one like that. I want it to be a little higher in the sky, maybe like that. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to shade this. So I want to be inside the circle, so I'm going to choose less than. And that doesn't look like the sun. It's like the moon. So I'm going to click on this for 3 seconds. There's no yellow, so the best I could do is orange. And let's make it more opaque. So we'll do 0.5. There, that lightens it. And I don't like those dashes. So I'm going to, oops, click on this for 3 seconds. And oh, the dashes is made because it's less than. So I'm going to make it less than or equal to. And it makes it solid. And I like that better. So there's my little moon. I showed you how to make a roof. All right. So what other shapes might be useful for you besides lines, absolute value, and circles? Parabolas, maybe? Let's take a look. So if we do y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Okay, there's our parabola, and we see that a makes it grow skinnier. You know, it grows faster, so it becomes skinnier. When a is negative, it opens downward. It's just like absolute value. H moves it left and right because it's the x coordinate of the vertex, and k moves it up and down because it's the y coordinate of the vertex. All right, and then another shape you might want to know about is the oval. Now, an oval is called an ellipse in calculus. So parent function would be x minus h squared. So do shift 6 or caret 2. Then it's over a squared. So we have to do slash a squared. Now go over here with your cursor. Plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. Now, if we add our sliders, all right, so if they're all ones, it's a circle, but let's make them not all ones, especially A and B. So A and B causes these to become ellipses or ovals. And A is all about the left to right width. So as the absolute value of A gets bigger, the ellipse gets wider. Let me zoom out a little bit. All right. And as B gets bigger, the ellipse gets longer. So there's a skinny and wide ellipse. All right. And A is the x coordinate of the center of the ellipse. I'm sorry, not A, H. So H would move it left and right. And B, K is the y coordinate of the center of the ellipse. So B would move it up and down. And if we wanted to shade it outside of it, we would just do greater than. So he shades everything but the outside. Or if we wanted to the inside, we do less than. And less than or equal to makes it solid and not dashed. If we want to change the color, we click on this for 3 seconds. And we can make it a nice blue. All right, so I have showed you everything you need to know. Work with Desmos in this class. And this is Friday. On Monday, you're going to have a 40-point art project due. So there will be other, if you look at the slideshow, there's videos embedded in the slideshow that will help you understand the full assignment. So good luck with all this. It's due on Monday, and I'm sorry I can't be with you today. This is Professor Matthews signing out. I'm going to stop my share.